7 years. It has been almost 7 years since the internet was taken by storm from the reveal of Hytale, a brand new sandbox RPG that looked to evolve gaming forever. In my opinion, this was one of the greatest reveal trailers for a game I have ever seen. From the moment I laid eyes upon this game, I saw this game's potential. I thought it was going to surpass Minecraft, a game that it was so obviously inspired by. A game that both I and the rest of the world were really obsessed with at the time. It all seemed like a dream come true. Sadly, that dream shattered just a few months ago when it was announced that Hypixel Studios was shutting down and they were ending development on Hytale. After 7 years, the game was just canceled. I gotta be honest, my initial reaction was very conflicting when I read this news. I truthfully had started to forget about Hytale. I mean, it has been so long since that initial announcement, and so many things have happened in my life and so many games have come out that it just really started to slip my mind. Despite that though, I still felt like I was being punched in the gut when I read this announcement. I didn't realize it, but I was still very excited for Hytale, and to hear that it wasn't happening anymore absolutely sucked to hear. Hytale was not coming out anymore. Or is it? I don't fucking know. Okay, let's back up all the way to that first trailer, almost 7 years ago now. Why was this such a big deal? Well, for me, I was still playing Minecraft all the time, and that included a lot of time on the very famous Hypixel server. The Hypixel server, of course, was famous for all of its various mini games and different game modes that you could play on it, all without having to install any type of mods. I hold a lot of memories playing on that server with my friends. And around this time, I was playing it a lot. And considering Hytale was a standalone game created by Hypixel Studios, you know, the people in charge of the Hypixel server, I was feeling really excited. To me, Minecraft was starting to get kind of stale. I mean, at this point, I'd been playing it for like, 8 years? And the aspects I was enjoying in Minecraft, mainly the PvP and minigame side, was starting to dwindle quite a bit. The reason Hytale had such a draw to me was because it straight up just looked like the Hypixel server turned into a video game, and they basically ran with it times 1,000. I mean, hell, Skywars, a minigame I was obsessed with, was shown off in that debut Hytale trailer. It just looked like they were taking all the parts of Minecraft that I focused on the most, and they were turning it into its own game, and to me it looked like it was literally made for me. So much was shown in that initial trailer, it looked to be like the next big game. It really seemed like this was going to be something that could maybe surpass Minecraft, which in retrospect is a crazy thought to have, given, you know, how much Minecraft has sold. But at the time, you have to understand there was a group of us that really thought like this could be the Minecraft killer. None of us really thought Minecraft was gonna have this crazy resurgence that it did since then. But yeah, I admit that was just crazy wishful thinking back in the day. After the game was announced, I would check up on it every so often, and progress was honestly really slow, which understandable given the game was just announced in a very early state at that time, and I wanted to be patient, so I eventually just kind of let it go from my mind while I played other games. The next time I'd actually hear about Hytale is in 2020 when it was announced that Riot Games had acquired Hypixel Studios and would be investing in the game. Now, regardless of what one's personal opinion of Riot is, to me that's honestly huge. The company behind League of Legends wants to give money to this game. Like, do you know how much money League of Legends makes? I personally didn't know how to feel at the time, as I have very little experience with anything Riot Games related, but I was just excited that progress was being made and the game was getting a bigger budget. I was excited to play the upcoming demo slated for a 2021 release, but unfortunately the game was hit with multiple delays, and I had once again forgotten about the game until 2024 when the announcement came that Hytale would be switching to a completely new engine. So I'm not smart enough to try to pretend I fully understand what that means, but that didn't sound so good to me, and I decided to just ignore the game until a new announcement was shown. I kind of just was like, new engine? That sounds like it's going to be a long delay. This basically sounded like it was in development hell territory. And I, at this point, what was that, 6 years? So I'm like, okay, we're just gonna put that off for now. And that's when we get to now, where we get the announcement that the game is just canceled after all that time, and a lot of us are just kind of like, oh, there was almost nothing to show for what went into the game. It was time to just move on and accept our loss. At least that's how everyone felt for like a day before the internet has collectively decided, fuck it, let's try to save this game. News of this game's cancellation had people talking about it more than ever before, or at least, you know, since at least that initial trailer. I mean, again, that's so much time. for not any release? We didn't even get so much as a playable beta in all of that time. Enter Simon Hypixel, the founder of Hypixel Studios, who originally sold to Riot back in 2020. Simon dropped a tweet shedding some light during his time on the game, and the biggest takeaway for me is that Simon said there was a nearly finished game when he left the studio all the way back in 2020, and that the engine change basically made no sense. It seems like there was a lot of major internal issues that caused the game's development to stagger back and forth these last few years. And yeah, so people just started to speculate there was a lot of behind the scenes issues. I personally don't know 100% what to think. I'm, again, not a game developer and I wasn't there, but it does seem strange if Simon sold the IP and he says the game was nearly finished and somehow 4 years later there still is no game. I think things started to take a turn when Simon offered to buy back the IP with $25 million of his own money. From what I can tell, this tweet that talked about getting the game back has basically turned into this movement of people trying to save Hytale. All of a sudden you have people spamming like hashtag SaveHytale and whatnot. But then you've got Simon himself, who, while he's being pretty vague on Twitter, appears to have confirmed that he's in talks to try to get this IP back, and he talks with hopefulness. This all of a sudden feels like a massive deal. Could Hytale actually be revived? Could we get that version that Simon said was nearly complete back in 2020? Well, we don't know fully yet. It does seem like things are happening. Again, Simon's tweets are really vague. It's kind of hard to tell, but he's been posting positive news and hasn't outright said it's not happening. And to me, until he says it's not happening, I'm not throwing in the towel. I know it's been stated that if they save the game, they're gonna try to put it out as soon as possible, regardless of the state it's in. Even if it's in a broken state, they're just gonna be upfront about it, and then they're just gonna update it constantly. Kind of think like back to the alpha Minecraft days when that game would just get non-stop updates. And personally, I'm all for that. To me, this would be the greatest comeback story in gaming history. I mean, can you imagine the hype surrounding the release if it does happen? Oh man, it gets me so excited to think about. Canceled games to me are always such a travesty. It always feels like lost media that's basically slipped right through our fingertips. It would be amazing if we could reverse the fate for this one. That said, I want to keep my expectations in line to not get disappointed again. We've been here before. And at the time of recording this video, literally like this morning, they removed all of the videos on the official Hytale account. Now, that doesn't mean anything. I think Simon even says it doesn't necessarily mean the end there, but that still kind of sucks. I just want to throw that in there. We don't even know if Riot Games would want to go for something like this yet, and we really may not know for a long time. But damn it, I want to contribute to keeping this game alive in people's minds. Ladies and gentlemen, I really hope Hytale can make a comeback. I still think it can be better than we ever could imagine. Unlike other games that have looked like they've taken inspiration from Minecraft, Hytale actually looks to improve on the concepts found in multiplayer servers and run with it all the way for a full game, as opposed to just being some shameless clone. From what we saw, it was unbelievably ambitious, and I can't help but wonder what things would be like if this game had gotten into the players' hands much earlier. It looked so fresh, yet familiar at the same time. I really think the transition from Minecraft players to that would have been a very smooth transition, and I was so excited to get my hands on that. I know it's been a long time and maybe some of the hype is gone, but I would still be there day one to play it if this game can come out. Every time I look at footage of Hytale, I get all excited and think back to when I was first into Minecraft, obsessing over the game and everything in it, all the things I had to discover for the very first time. I want to believe that if Hytale comes out, it would also be a game like that. I want to believe it's a game that can still release, because all that hard work the developers put in it shouldn't have to go to waste. I've made this video not only to vent about wanting this game, but I also made it in hopes of being able to spread the word. I know I'm a bit late to the party, but this is still an active development. As far as I'm able to tell based on what I've read on the internet, which is always true 100% of the time, literally believe everything you ever read on there, Simon is still actively looking into getting the game back. He still has not tweeted out, "It's over, guys." Because of that, I'm feeling cautiously optimistic about this all. But again, I don't want to set myself up for disappointment all over again. I do gotta ask, is there still a market for games like this? I really want to think there is. Games like Vintage Story seem to be doing well, but Minecraft is also doing unbelievably well still. I don't know how many people have just decided those games are good enough for them since this much time has passed. They might just be like, I'm good. I don't need a game like this anymore. I mean, it feels like tons of people are rallying together to save this game, but that could just be a small bubble that doesn't represent their wider market. I really think it's just something only time will be able to tell us. I think if you're interested in Hytale staying alive, or you were ever were interested in Hytale at some point, then it would be a good idea to spread the word as well. I say the more people who show their support for this game, the better chance we have. Is that just wishful thinking? I don't know. Probably, but I at least feel like I'm doing something by saying something. The alternative is doing nothing and moving on, which, fair enough. I can't really blame people for losing the hype after all these years, but that's just not really the way I roll. I will literally cling on to whatever I can, even if it means you gotta throw me into a psych ward. I wanna give this story a happy ending. I wanna be able to look back one day and see that we were all able to give this game another shot at life. And I wanna say it's because we all kept holding out hope for Hytale.